Hi, Pastor Nathan Decker with your hashtag Better Together devotion for today. And this week I've been kind of confessionally sharing about my life and what it is as a pastor, kind of some of the ups and downs, the sideways moments that we have. And one of the things that I've really come to understand as a pastor is that there is the call and then there's my call. And the call is kind of that understanding that God saw within the church that there were people that needed to be set aside to do a certain task. Sometimes that means they're set aside to be a trustee, or they're set aside to be serving on the HR team to help out with the staff. Sometimes they're called to be musically inclined and music ministers or things like that. Sometimes they're called to be pastors. So this is what I'm calling the call. It's a calling that comes from God. The church recognizes and says, hey, you should be set apart. You are unique and you need to be over here doing this particular task. You need to be set apart to be different than the rest of us. And you're called to guide, lead, to care, to hold, to pray, to do this work. That's the call. But then there's also my call. There's your call to ministry. And what that is, it comes not from God, it instead comes from within me. There's parts of me that is within this. I remember one pastor saying that all pastors suffer from a need to be needed. I think that's true to a certain extent, a dangerous truth, even actually. There's a pastor, there's a part of us that desires to fulfill and help to follow Christ, even to the cross, to be crucified. And that's dangerous in a way, but it's also rewarding in that through understanding my call, I can truly find myself much more authentic, much more engaged, much more energized to do this thing called ministry. I have, at least 6 times in my 20 years of doing ministry, thought about leaving ministry. And I'm not just joking about this. I mean, seriously, like doing web searches that said, what are other jobs that pastors can do when they leave ministry? Or thinking about other jobs, even going and looking at what are required to do certain jobs. I've seriously thought about this. I think that most pastors have, especially in this day and age. What's kept me here is the advice I got from a good colleague. He said when he got down and when he was low, he tried to go back and focus on the things that were his original calling, the places where he got fed. And I think that's true for me and you. You know, when we're going through the hardest parts of our lives, we need to go to those places and do those things that we get the high of life. We feel the meaningfulness. We feel the purpose. We feel that we've lived out my calling. We've lived out my calling. For me, that happens a lot of times when I'm in the community. I am a community focused kind of pastor. If I'm trapped in my office too long, if I'm trapped inside the church community too long, and I'm not out there trying to reach new people, if I'm not out there trying to make new connections, networking, then in all honesty, I'm missing out on my calling. I'm still participating in the call to ministry, but I'm not participating in my calling. When you feel like you're getting burned out, when you feel like you're getting hollow, go back and revisit your call. There's a part of you that is calling out to God, saying, God, here am I. How can I serve? And you know the answer to that question. God equipped you with ways to do this. Don't just be a part of the call to ministry in your baptismal waters. Be a part of your call to ministry as you live out a better together kind of faith. Amen.